Welcome back to the Greyhorn Pagans podcast. It is good to have you all watching again. It's good to have you all listening again. And for today, I have with me Aeneas Zelesnik. Am I saying that correctly?
Zelesnik, you're very close.
All right. It's a very Eastern European sounding name, which for a Western European can give some trouble sometimes, but I'm glad I pronounced it well. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for rescheduling as well. I had a bit of a tech hiccup the first time. Although, the first of the month, it seems like a very good date to be doing this. And yeah, for those who may not be familiar with you or your work just yet, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? What's your secrets?
So my name is Nate, originally Nate. I go by Aeneas. Last name is Zelesnik, which comes out of Ukraine and Lithuania. So very close. Very, very good ear on that, Stein. So for the past 26 years, I have been one of two and only two master trainers in the United States of a very ancient royal system of martial arts, meditation, breathwork, inner power development, energy healing, and superhuman training that the Indonesian military has been using for 55 years in order to teach people how to see and perceive as accurately as eyesight without using their eyes, using the force literally. And in 1999, I brought this art to the United States for the very first demonstrations outside of Indonesia, and they allowed me to become the very first non-Indonesian person to learn this in history. And with one of my younger brothers, we went to Indonesia numerous times, lived there, long sabbaticals, but we also had a trainer that just happened to live here in Utah, in the United States where I live, that was an hour south of us. There were only 3 people in the entire United States that could train us, and one happened to live an hour away. So the universe lined all of that up perfectly for us to become ninjas and Jedis. So like ninjedis, like legit. And for 20 years, we owned one of the largest martial arts meditation academies in the United States. And then the pandemic hit, and that restructured the entire martial arts industry, where our school was not able to stay open, as were about almost half of the martial arts schools in the US had to close permanently. And so we moved into a seminar format of teaching people the blindfolded perception skill and the breath work, which is very unique. Everybody's familiar with breath work, right? Everybody's done Wim Hof or something like that. But there's another type of breath work that works on completely different mechanisms and chemicals and energy pathways in the body that is, well, it's definitely a night and day difference between the techniques and how they work, and also how they affect your body, short term and long term. So after about 3 years of doing that and teaching the seminar formats, my brother and I decided that we were not going to be able to continue our work together. And sometimes great things happen and people are on the same track and then they split apart, and that just happens. And so several years ago, I formed the Integrated Ascension Method, or the IM for short, taking this breath work, this meditation, this energy healing, and combining it with modern science. Things like vibroacoustic therapy, biohacking, binaural beat technology, energy protection technology from EMF, all kinds of different things, and mix these different scientific technologies that are cutting edge with this ancient human technology. I'm the only one in the world that's done this. And most recently, well, I'm going to ask the listeners out there and the viewers, have you ever had a moment that knocked you down into the dirt so hard you never thought you'd be able to get back up? And you knew that if you did, you would have to be someone new from this point forward. You could never be the same person. I think a lot of people have. My moment came March 3rd of this year at 2:17 p.m. Mountain Time. See, before that, I was down in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, training at a breathwork and meditation and spirituality retreat as one of the facilitators, when something really strange started to happen to me. I started to lose sensation of my body, like my skin went numb. to the point where I could pinch anywhere on my body. I couldn't feel it. I took a needle and I sterilized it with a lighter and I stuck it in my arm and just looked at it. And I couldn't feel anything. Well, obviously that's normal. So I did everything that I could. I taught the organization, the classes, and the retreat. And when I got home, I immediately went to the emergency room with the hospital. And they put all these different electrodes on me. And my heart was fine. Did a chest x-ray. Heart and chest was fine. They did some blood work. It was, not that great. But then they did an MRI. And I was sitting in that room, like the waiting room, for about 3 hours before the surgeon walked in. And he had this really solemn look on his face. And he looked at me and he said, "Mr. Zalesnik, I need to see you in the hall." And my heart started going really fast because you never want to, in the school, you don't want the principal to come up to you and say, "We need to have a talk." So I walked out into the hall and he took me over to a screen and he started flipping through these MRI scans and he stopped on one. And I could see it there plain as day, a white ball in my head. And he looked at me and he said those words you never want to hear in your life. This right here, this is a brain tumor. And then it got even more. He said, and it's inoperable. We can't even get to it. It's prime real estate. If we tried, it would either kill you or permanently disable you. And then he said, and this is ironic for a breathwork master instructor, he said, and where it is, it's right here in between the cerebellum and your brainstem, pressing on your center for breathing. So if it gets any bigger, it might prevent you from being able to breathe, and you'll either have to be on a ventilator or die. So at that moment, Stein, if you could just imagine, my ego collapsed. It wasn't gentle. This was violent. And right there to the forefront of my face, in my awareness, came all of my resentments, all of my confusions, all of my judgments, all of my illusions. And I got this opportunity to ask the real important questions. What is real? And what is really important? Do I need to hold on to this grudge against a family member? No. Do I need to hold on to and keep? And does it serve me to have the bullying that I went through still affect me in my life when so many things got reshifted and reframed right there? And it only took about an hour. I was in shock, as you can imagine. I was in shock, but I'm I'm an action taker, not a wait and seer. In the martial arts, you don't wait for somebody to punch you again. So I felt the first blow, and then I've immediately went to, okay, this has got to be figure outable. Other people have gone through stuff like this and worse and healed, so I can too. How is this for me? How did I create this on the subconscious, spirit level, soul level, higher self, inner being, whatever you want to call it? Why did I create this lesson for myself? And am I going to learn this lesson? It's here for a reason. And so I switched my focus from why is this here to how is this for me? Didn't take long before I shifted this to how can I heal through this and help other people? And most importantly, how do I turn it into a reproducible protocol, a method that people can use to follow this and improve their life? So I came up with a 6-letter acronym called ASCENT. And since my business is the Integrated Ascension Method, it aligns. So the A is for awareness and mindset. It all starts up here in the brain, in the heart. If you don't believe you can heal, you will not heal. So you have to have the awareness and you have to have the mindset of a champion. You're an action taker. You will heal through this. Not only follow your doctor's advice, but also follow your own advice. You are your own medicine. The second one is S for source through breath. Now, using the breath work that I helped pioneer in the United States, it is not like anything that you've ever experienced. I can guarantee you 1,000,000,000%. There's just nothing like it. And it helps us tap directly into universal source and embody it. It's not going out there. It's coming in here because like Jesus is quoted as saying that the kingdom of heaven lies in the hearts of all men. Inside, not in the kingdom of heaven is outside of you and you'll never find it. It's inside you, right? So C is for the center point reset. Now, most people have never heard of this, but it's the most fundamental and important energy system in our body. So if you can imagine that the planet has a north and south pole, right? And it has this electromagnetic field of energy that goes and protects us from solar radiation. And that's how meteors burn up, etc. Our body does too. But most people's is not in the right spot. So if you can imagine having this pole right here in the center of your chest that should be coming out around your body and back in through your back like a torus. And what happens if you shift the Earth's poles by 30 degrees? You're going to have earthquakes, tsunamis, all the weather patterns will change, gravitation will change, wobbling of the whole entire planet through space. But most people, overwhelming majority, have their center point out of place and they don't even know it. So things like depression, things like anxiety, multiple personalities, addictive personalities, these things where people might feel like they're not quite at home in their body. When your center point gets reset by my soul partner, Jemaya Vandebelt, who actually lives in Amsterdam, not too far away from you, Stein. And when she does this, I've seen 33-year addictions disappear in one session. So if you can imagine being addicted to something for over 3 decades and having a half-hour session and never thinking about it again. Depression and anxiety, pop, gone. It's just once the body's and the energy field is in the right state to heal, it will. But if you're always walking uphill with a thorn in your foot and you don't even know you have a thorn, you need somebody to grab some pliers and pull it out. So that's C for center point reset. But then there's E for eat to thrive. Now, when I found out about this tumor, Stein, and I'm sorry, I'm not that great with the metric system, so I'm going to use the imperial for pounds. I was 258 pounds. Today, I weighed in at 172. So I've lost 88 pounds of fat. But my smart scale says I've put on 15 pounds of muscle. I have gotten rid of all hypertension. So with the high blood pressure, now my blood pressure is perfect. Blood work is perfect. And I have a smart scale that measures my metabolic age. And I went from 59 to 38. So I've reversed the age of my body by 21 years using diet, exercise, mindset, and the next part. So that was E for eat to thrive. But then there's N, which is new frequency medicine. When I was told about my tumor, I put out a GoFundMe campaign for people to be able to donate so they could help me with this. Because if anybody knows anything about the U.S. healthcare system, it's not exactly cheap. It is the most expensive in the world by far. So I knew I was going to need some help. So I put this GoFundMe out, and a friend reached out to me, and she said, "Nate, we got you." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "No, listen, we got you." And she told me who she works with. And he is, without a doubt, there is no doubt, he is the most brilliant biochemist on the planet, hands down. And he has created different serums by altering different chemical bonds in the carbon-60 or the C60 molecule that do things like help you grow new neurons in your brain. They help to pull back the curtain on cancer so your body can actually locate it and attack it with your natural killer cells and your T cells, where normally it's like a ninja and it hides. How to activate the mitochondria in your cells on a level nothing else has been able to do. There's so much more, but also a very special type of stem cell therapy that he has pioneered. And it's groundbreaking. Using our blood, so it's our own stem cells, which there are certain kinds of stem cells in the body that are perfect. They are day zero cells. They have never known any degradation. They turn off about 24 hours after we're born, but they keep multiplying, but they don't get used. So he found a way to activate, and this is a very common thing, actually. The V cells are very well studied. In fact, the person who discovered how to activate them, good friend of mine, he was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Medicine last year for it. I mean, it's as legit as you're going to find. But there's only one person in the world that has created a multi-channel laser to activate these multiple kinds of small stem cells. Then when they put them in your body with exosomes and some other things, they're able to use this laser frequency to guide them to right where they need to go and concentrate them right there. Yeah, it's Star Trek level. Okay, you're good. So I've had 3 of those treatments, and I'm happy to say that in between June 24th, June 26th, I had my treatment. On September 1st, I had a PET scan and it showed the tumor had decreased by over 50%. So that's N for near frequency technology. And then the last part of Ascend is D for decode your body. We have to know what's going on. I mean, there are plenty of people that have gone in for a checkup and then they have a blood test and find out they have stage 4 metastatic cancer all through their body and they had no freaking idea. That happens a lot. Our body doesn't really tell us a lot of things because mostly we're humans doing, not humans being. We're not very inwardly focused on how are we doing? How am I? What's happening inside here? We're always kids. I have to take care of football. I have to make sure I get my degree. I have to pay my bills. I have to once in a while make love and all these things, right? We're outwardly focused. So it's important that we actually decode the body. So that's the Ascend framework. And I created that because I needed to make sure it was something that is reproducible, something that is a method, something that with literally billions of people with chronic diseases, we need something that we can follow this formula and actually have good results. And does everything work for everyone? No. That's why you have a 6-step formula, because if you just say, well, okay, I have a brain tumor, so I'm going to eat apricot seeds because I saw that on TikTok. I'm not going to chance that. I'm not putting my life in the hands of a TikTok video or an Instagram reel. I will look at them and then I'll go into the medical literature and then I will find and combine these things. So I'm definitely Dr. Jekyll-ing myself very successfully. And so now I actually created a new program with my soul partner, my cosmic co-pilot, Jemaya, called Ascended Living. So she takes her center point reset. I take my white dove, it's called Merpati Putih in Indonesia, which, I mean, you're in Netherlands, so there's a lot of Indonesian people there. And there actually is one Merpati Putih school, Pencaksilat martial arts school in Holland. They're in the Netherlands. So anybody out there, if you're interested in the most hardcore breath work and hard style martial art you're ever going to find, Netherlands is known for your great fighters anyway. For Muay Thai and kickboxing, you're known for that. So anyway, I digress. She uses her center point reset right off the bat with our people in order to reset their consciousness, but also their energy field. Everything changes. For me, it felt like I was finally home in my body. Finally, for the first time in my whole life. Most people, that's what it feels like. We start from that launch platform. Then I also have an app where I have the different breath work and the meditations, the most advanced binaural beats that you can find to regulate your nervous system are on my app. Then you get one-on-one sessions with me directly. I'm a certified body code practitioner, so releasing traumas, releasing trapped emotions, releasing heart walls, helping people reframe on a quantum level that then translates into the physical. While we're on a call, people feel it. I've had people's spines straighten while we're on the call. I've had people, their pain go from a 10 to a 1 in a half an hour while we're doing this quantum modality. It's patented in the US for a reason, because it works. And then we also have partnered with the gentleman in Oklahoma that I told you about who does the stem cells. We call him the miracle engineer because I'll put it this way, the reports that I've heard from the people who have had treatments from him with things like Alzheimer's, cancers of all type, heart disease, diabetes, Hashimoto's, the list goes on and on. It's been, that's why we call him the miracle engineer, because it's all scientific, but it looks like magic. So that took a while for me to say all those things, but my story is definitely one that it continues to be epic, and it has been the whole time. And my memoir is going to be coming out by the end of the year. So I'll have to let everybody know. It's called The Golden Night, and that has a whole different thing with Iboga and African shamans, and life's a trip. I'm so glad I'm here.
Wow, that is some story. Already, and I have no idea what I was expecting. I read your bio, of course, but to hear it, from the man himself, kicking and breathing, that's a whole different thing. That is amazing, and just it also shows how much you can do yourself healing wise. I mean, especially in the spiritual community, the Pagan community, we'll often talk about, oh, like you can heal yourself and, just gotta, I mean, the very basic thing, just, diet and exercise is what every doctor ever will recommend you or should recommend you, really. But there are so very little people who actually put that into practice. And then an even smaller amount of people who actually get the results that, that you have, the results that you have achieved. And that is, man, that is quite something. So the martial art, how did you stumble upon it? Like it's Indonesian, and other than pencaksilat, which I am aware of, at least, it's quite brutal. I don't know much about it, and we do have quite the Indonesian community here. It used to be part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, of course, gained independence and all of that. So, but for Americans, if they go to Asia, if they're like kind of focused on Asia, it's mostly like Taiwan, Tibet, Thailand, China, perhaps. So what made you go to Indonesia, and how did you find out about this martial art, this unique, really niche training?
To understand that, we need to go back in time to my childhood, where I grew up in a very small town in Utah. And Utah is actually controlled and run by a specific religion. The people who are familiar with Mormon, and that's great. They're beautiful people. However, kids being kids, and especially in the 1970s and 80s, there were no protections for smaller children. And so I was heavily bullied from the age of 5 all the way through 15, bullied physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I also had some abuse issues going on with my mother at home. So no place was safe for me. So at 12 years old, I found myself sitting on my father's office floor with his loaded rifle pointed at my head. And I was about ready to pull the trigger because everything was pain. I got beat up at school. It would be summer break. The kids would come to my school and kick my ass in my front yard. And then I would get hurt by my mother on a very regular basis. So no place was safe, and I was done with it. And so as I'm sitting there looking down the barrel of a rifle, I had a stroke of guilt. I can't do that to mom and dad. No matter what, I can't do that to them. And so I put the gun away. And that night I had my first out-of-body experience, where I floated out of my body. I rolled over. I could see myself laying there. I was hoping and praying that I was actually dead, that I didn't have to go through with that it had actually happened, because it was so freeing. I mean, if you could just imagine what it's like to not have this sticky, hard, dense form, and you're actually free, and it's amazing. If you ever had a dream of flying, how amazing that is. Well, here you go. And this wasn't a dream. I was looking at my body. And then I snapped back into my body. And that happens a lot to people. And I was like, what the hell was that? And so, of course, I wanted to try it again, and immediately just, okay, now let's do that again. And it didn't happen. But it started happening more frequently, showing me, and I credit my higher self with saving me from myself, showing me that I'm more than a physical body, that consciousness is not located in the body, and really opening up the Pandora's box, but in a good way, of what is real. How did I get here? Why am I here? What is reality? What is my purpose? Where am I going? The quintessential big questions that every 12-year-old asks. Fast forward. I had always wanted to be a ninja and a Jedi. Like I said, a ninja Jedi. Ever since I saw ninja movies and I saw Bruce Lee and I saw Star Wars. Well, at the age of 23, I got that opportunity. And so I ordered a course out of Black Belt magazine, guaranteeing me inner power in 2 weeks, so I got my money back. So I'm like, all right, I want it. I want instant chi, or at least if I could learn something, because I'd done martial arts before, but they were the kind that you'd see in a strip mall. They weren't the kind that had the internal energy, the spirituality, the psi, like meaning mind over matter type of things that you'd see in China.
Yeah.
So, of course, I got it. And it was a completely useless manual with little stick figures drawn in it. But it did come with a VHS tape. This is back in the 90s. And it had Indonesian martial arts. It had a documentary. And it showed people who were doing the most amazing things I'd ever seen. Many kind of martial arts. But there was one group in particular. They really stood out. They had a red neckline. They had a white tunic. They had black pants, and everybody wore a red belt. It's a very unique uniform. There's nothing else like it I've ever seen in any martial art. And they were breaking steel bars. They weren't breaking little boards and bricks. They were breaking stacks of metal, just barely touching them. And I'm like, wow, okay. So maybe the inner power stuff really does work in the manual, but no, there was no correlation between the two.
Yeah.
The people just videotaped the documentary and said, hey, we're going to market our little pamphlet. But then it showed people who could see without their eyes. These people in the white tops. And it had people that were special forces members.
Uh-huh.
The Kopassus from Indonesia. They were fighting full contact, bare knuckle. They were all blindfolded with hoods on. They were driving cars through traffic. They were breaking things. They were shooting targets out of people's hands. And then it showed blind people with eyes as white as a sheet who could read printed material even after being blindfolded. And I was like, Jedis, holy crap, Jedis are real. Maybe, or maybe it's bull. I don't know. Maybe it's BS. I don't know. But I was so intrigued by it that I was like, I had to watch that again. So I watched it a few more times. The next day, I watched a blind woman almost get killed trying to cross the street in front of me when I was in my car. I knew that the universe was giving me a sign. Here's your path. You're not made and meant to be a credit card representative. You have a bigger purpose here. Yeah. So I said to myself, I need to find these Indonesian people and I need to help her. So I went online. And this is, I don't know, maybe before you were born. It was dial-up days. It was the dial-up modems. And it took me about 2 weeks. Another interesting synchrodestiny is that when I saw that blind woman was almost to the day when Merpati Buddhi launched their first website. Wow. So it was the universe conspiring to put all of this together. I reached out to them. And I sponsored the very first demonstrations of this in the United States, but I didn't think I would ever be able to learn. It was forbidden to be trained and learned by anybody, not from Indonesia. Wow. So I just wanted to help. I've always had that heart that I wanted to help the blind community. I wanted to help people. But when they were able to see what I was willing to do and sacrifice, it took 9 months of work to be able to get them over here to the US. The 11th generation royal family heirs, they told the chairman of Merpati Buddhi, the White Dove system, who was here in my house, we want to allow Nate to be the very first to learn this. I want to have him be able to carry this torch for our humanitarian mission to the world. And if he can hack it, that's the thing is, Penchaksilat's no joke, and Merpati Buddhi is considered the most brutal of all of them as far as the training. One of them, if not the. It is, no joke. So there's so much that it'll be in my memoir, it'll be in my book. But sure. I started the training, and a few weeks later, one of my younger brothers joined me, and he had a lot of martial arts experience too, much more than me actually at that time. And together we trained. We were tested. We actually brought the royal heirs to Utah in order to personally test us and inaugurate our school. And they passed the flag of Merpati Buddhi to me. Boom. And when that happened, it was like, now the universe is going to start responding. And we got to open our very first martial arts school, the very first of this style outside of Indonesia. There were about 3,000 there. And we got to open the very first. So that's how I actually got connected with this. And then over the years, we would take teams over to Indonesia and we travel all the way from Jakarta all the way over to Bali and Lombok and everywhere in between. It was a massive adventure. And then I've already said the rest of the story that we owned the school, but then COVID. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, it's kind of like Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings in a way.
Oh, that's a hell of a story. Yeah.
It's actually the same story.
Yeah, of course. It's the hero's journey. Yeah. No, I am aware. Wow, that is so much. That's so many things, just so many signs telling you like, hey, you're going into the right direction. I'm 33 years old. I'm from 92. So I do remember the very early internet days. And for well, really any business, international, like other than just, the Western world, really, to launch an official website. I mean, if we're talking early internet, that's a big deal.
Right.
But, then also to find it, because, I mean, Google wasn't a thing back then, for all my Gen Z listeners, which are very little, but still, Google hasn't always been a thing. There were days that you actually had to know what you were looking for, like you had to know the website. So to find it, and then you said it took about 9 months for them to get to the US. I mean, that 9 months, it birthed your new life, really.
Exactly.
So like that, when you mentioned that, I was like, oh, of course it's 9 months. It had to be just, gestation period. And then finally, getting there and the passing of the flag, passing of the torch. That's amazing. That is awesome. And I am very aware of those kinds of martial arts schools that just, just do martial arts for the sake of martial arts. Nowadays, there is a term for them, which I absolutely love. They're mech dojos.
Of course.
Where you can, just buy your black belt, or they have there are other schools that's just a system that, just show up every day, and then in like 4 weeks, you have your black belts. I have trained jiu-jitsu myself, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, for years, done some boxing, kickboxing, and martial arts. Like, you have to be serious about it. I mean, yeah, it's also just really good exercise. I have never been as beat up before or since as I have on the mat in the dojo. It's quite different. It'll toughen you up for sure.
Yeah.
So then to hear that, I mean, we all know, the breaking of the boards, or the breaking of the like the stone blocks and all of that. And those are, I mean, yeah, that's cool. It's still, amazing feats of strength. But it's kind of become more showmanship than actual martial arts. But to break steel and go through steel, I have not heard of that before. And that is quite something. If you're able to do that, holy shit, you have some control over your body.
Well, that's the interesting thing, though, Stein, is that, yes, there's a lot of showmanship that goes into it. And I'm not taking away anything from the people who, break a stack of 10 bricks. And
Absolutely.
A lot of people, they're like, yeah, but bricks don't hit back. I'm like, yeah, they do. If you don't break it, you actually, let's say you put 100 pounds of force, you get 200 pounds of force back into your body. So you could actually snap your bones.
I have some experience with that, unfortunately. And in a fit of anger, I punched the wall, and the wall won.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in Marpati Putti, once in a while, there are demonstrations done, but like our tests, nobody's allowed to watch them. It's not about showing off for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You go in and you have steel, and it's real. And if you break it and you have that energy focus, and you're able to get your mind and your energy in the right spot at the same time, you'll go through it effortlessly like it's butter. And if you don't, then it stops and it gives you immediate feedback.
Yeah.
That's really what the breaking of these objects is to give you feedback on how you're able to build, harness, feel, flow, and project your subtle energy. And it makes me laugh when people are like, oh, chi's not real. I'm like, yeah, but there are all kinds of equipment that can measure it now. So just because you're not able to see it, well, you're not able to see microwaves or Wi-Fi either.
Yet we know it's there.
You're not able to perceive that. You can't say it's not real. It's just a subtle energy you're not able to perceive. But now we're getting to that point where we do have a lot of different technology that can actually start to perceive this. And there are even cameras that can photograph the visible light that comes off your body. Yes, it was a university in Japan. It's not infrared. It's not body heat, visible spectrum light, but it's about 1,000 times less than the human eye can detect. But with the right cameras, they can take a picture of your body and they can see where you're emanating more or less light, and they can see where imbalances and diseases are by looking at the light that comes from your body. So you can actually just Google it. Human body emits visible light. You'll see all kinds of
articles. We do.
It's pretty cool.
A visible light, a sensible energy. I mean, that's human body is capable of so much, and that's the The most basic example is how you always know, like you just kind of feel when somebody is looking at you, or somebody's watching you. It's to the point that I have read, and it's kind of going into conspiratorial territory, but it's true that the spies at the CIA, for example, they are told and they are trained not to directly look at who they are following, because for some reason we can sense that. And if you're, trying to shadow someone, you don't want to be seen, like you want to be the shadow. So if they're like, why are you looking at me? It's like, cover blown, never mind.
Yeah, true. But, to that point, most people, I think, are familiar with our five senses, right?
Yeah.
We can see, we can hear, we can taste, we can smell, we can touch. But the ancient Egyptians, they taught their children that we have 360 senses, not five. There's a lot that's been lost from the ancient civilizations. And look at what's being uncovered underneath the pyramids and all throughout Peru and different places. They just unearthed a massive temple in Burma that had been buried for centuries. It just happened with an earthquake a couple of days ago. And it's, oh my God, there's stuff there, and they're starting to excavate it. So there's a lot that we don't understand about this, that we are. And that's actually not what we are. This body that we have, meaning that it is something we get to hold on to for as long as we're here, but it's not us. It's not actually us. And that's a near-death experience that taught me that one. That's a totally different story. But that one, I died and came back to life. On my test in Merpati Putti in Java in 2007, I actually, they resuscitated me, and I was watching myself from the outside, and I knew what happened. So that's why I'm saying we're a lot more than just what you can perceive here. And why that's relevant is because we don't know what the limit of the human is. We have no idea. The last great avatar of consciousness, Jesus, was 2,000 years ago. Before that, it was Buddha. Before that, Zoroaster. Before that, Krishna. That's thousands of years. And we can't even keep a story straight for 25 minutes when we tell one person one thing and they tell something to someone else and they tell it else. It's a totally different story. So what about 2,000 years where,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not the same. So the interesting thing about that is that we do have that kingdom of heaven inside of all of us. But this is the thing that's important for everybody out there watching or listening to understand. Is it possible that you are this divine, infinite, unlimited, eternal being of consciousness and energy that comes here in order to create your reality and have experience? The experience is ongoing. You can't shut it off. And you have the opportunity to choose what you prefer and how you would prefer to experience things based upon your attitude and your emotions, your belief systems, your values, and your desires, of course. Right? I think most people can step into that. And if they don't, they're like, well, no, I just die and then I'm in the dirt. Okay, maybe that's cool. Enjoy your dirt. And I could tell you from my own experience, that's not the case of what we are.
No, definitely not.
With that said, when we look at this about our body, that every single one of us is going to have tissue issues, no matter what it is. You get a piece of sand in your eye, it hurts for every human being, whether you're Bill Gates and have all the money in the world, or if you're someone who's never had $1 in your life, you get a piece of sand in your eye, or you eat some really bad food, we're all going to have that same thing tomorrow. But here's an interesting thing. For us, when we get to this point in our life that we all know our clock is ticking, we know nobody's going to live forever. There's a difference between knowing that and actually seeing the seconds hand starting to tick by. The end is getting near. And there's a big difference between living with a disease, dying from a disease, or healing and thriving in spite of a disease. I chose that third option, and that's why I'm here, Stein, is to help other people who are ready to choose that option as well. Or if maybe they're just a biohacker and we want to be strong and go back in time in their age. Or they just want to feel better than they ever have before. I work with those people too, but especially if it's a chronic issue.
Yeah.
Because the medical system just wants to give you more pills or cut stuff out of you. That's all they know how to do.
Yeah.
But there are other things that you can do in addition to that. I'm not saying don't do those because sometimes those are warranted for sure.
Mm.
But most doctors, especially in the United States, they only take like 2 weeks of nutrition course in their whole medical training. That's it. 2 weeks.
Just
So
to
diet,
whoa.
yeah, that's it. So now the presidential administration, they are making it mandatory that nutritional training is part of every medical doctor's training through college. They have to now, as of this year. But before that, no. They're taught how to prescribe. They're taught how to diagnose. They're taught how to cut. But nutrition, herbs, diet, exercise, it's not their fault. They were just never trained to do that. Now they're required to. But it's starting this year. So
It's a step
wouldn't
in
it
the
be
right
nice?
direction.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice though if you had the best of all the worlds? You had the allopathic medicine, you had the new frequency medicine, you have all this diet, nutrition, exercise, center point, reset, body code sessions, breath work. All of this combined into something that doesn't take your whole day, but it gives you massive results in a quick amount of time. That's what we do at Ascended Living.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be bringing this to the world. And I'm very happy, grateful, blessed, and proud to be able to actually be here talking to you because it almost didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, you have seen the end well closer than you would have liked. I mean, as the doctor said, it was inoperable and really gave you, a choice. Like, do you want to be stuck between a rock or, do you want to be stuck in a hard place? Neither, preferably. Geez, and those were some choices that they gave you. Like, yeah, well, I mean, either you're going to be paralyzed or you're going to be dead. So, just pick your poison. I mean, no thanks. And I have actually lately been doing more breath work, but that's literally because 2 practitioners, they started their studio right down the street from me. It's like a 10-minute walk from me. And they have their studio there and they do this. It's quite something. Connected breathing. They do that. So they teach me or taught me and a lot of others as well first of all, they teach you to breathe through your mouth, which is a little weird at first, like you're getting a real cotton mouth when doing it. But the senses that you're getting it's so amazing. And they're teaching you to like breathe through your belly and then move it up to your chest and then exhale. And especially the lady who does it, she of course has this, this beautiful slim figure, as they all do for some reason. When she, the first time I saw it, the first time I was at a session of theirs, like you could really see it, like really just see the wave pattern that she was making by just breathing, by just connected breathing. And I've done 2 sessions with them now, 1 group session, which was interesting. A lot of different results for a lot of different people. And 1 private session, and it's just breathing and breathing differently and being aware of your breathing and being aware, not, focusing on, okay, I should be breathing like this, but just let it happen, be aware of it, but let it happen. The sensations that I got and the feelings that I got, it is so cool. And just also the clarity after, I was quite tired after because you're going through a lot, actually. And also the second time with the private session, I hadn't had breakfast yet, so I was kind of high, actually.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Quit smoking anything that gets me high for years now. So to have that feeling again by just breathing, by just, the connected breathing, interconnected breathing, it was quite the sensation. And it's something that the gentleman told me that you don't have to do like a full on session. Like he'll do it like, when he wakes up in the morning, just 2 or 3 minutes to connect with his body, or, before he goes to bed at night, just 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to, connect to his body, calm down, wind down for the night. So just breath work alone. Wim Hof like really popularized it, but I feel it's becoming more and more a thing that, more and more people are aware of, like really the power of breath, of just breathing, of working with your breath, the thing that you fortunately don't even have to think about doing.
Right. And you're in full control of it. It's the only autonomic nervous system process that you can consciously control without training. Everybody can hold their breath from birth. Like water births, babies hold their breath. Slowing your heartbeat, controlling your digestion, those are a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, it's doable, and mostly through breathing exercises, and just shows you the interconnectedness with everything in your body, everything in your being. Yeah.
We are an amazing organism of consciousness for sure. And if I had one wish, if I had a genie that asked me, I'll grant you one wish, what would it be? It would not be for world peace. It would not be to find the cure for cancer. It would be to support and help everyone on planet Earth truly realize what they are on the highest level of their consciousness and being. That would take care of cancer. That would take care of war. That would take care of hunger. If everybody realized their true, divine, infinite, unlimited, eternal nature as beings of consciousness that get a body, that we are not our body, and we don't need to be attached to our body the way that we have been, because it's merrily, 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 life is but a dream. And you understood that. And if think of everybody, think of 8 billion people actually resonated at that level of understanding, not understanding, but knowing. There'd be no need of it. There'd be no need for borders. There'd be no need for human trafficking. There'd be no need for drugs. There'd be no, why? There would be no need for any of it. But that's not where we're at right now, and I don't have a genie. So all I can do right now, Stein, is I can let people know about my programs, have them schedule one-on-ones with me, my soul partner, so that we can see how we can really support people who need us, to offer free trainings and webinars and on my app and these things to get this word out so that people can start to work on that at their own pace. That's why I do what I do. But we're all kids walking each other home. Like Brahm Das, the philosopher and yogi, said, we're all kids walking each other home. So some of us lead and some of us pull, other people push, some people give piggyback rides. I really prefer to walk hand in hand, side by side, in the same direction, which is up a hill toward our highest nature.
Yeah. I so agree with that. It's a while ago, actually. I think, God, must be a year and a half, 2 years, maybe. And I've had someone on the show, and like we really spoke about the importance of teachers, like proper teachers, especially in this day and age where, gurus seem to be abundant, but 90% of them are all influencers trying to sell you something. You have life coaches that are 19 years old, and it's like, dude, at 19 you haven't done any living. Like, how are you a life coach already? So just proper teachers and people that don't just tell you what to do, but they can show you what to do. They guide you on that path. A good teacher is also just a good guide. I think luckily, there are definitely those teachers. They are increasing. I'd say the gift of sight and knowledge is expanding. More people see, more people do start to realize, and with my platform, with the podcast and everything, I am trying to do my part. Of course, trying to teach people, trying to have, amazing teachers like yourself on to, spread the word, spread knowledge, spread wisdom. I mean, especially wisdom as well. I am, or try to be a man of Wotan, the All Father, the God of wisdom, to gather wisdom, integrate wisdom, spread the wisdom. I mean, it's one of my tasks, really. It's what I feel that I need to do, whether it be through teaching myself or, having other teachers on to teach my audience, my friends, my family, my loved ones. So I for one, am very, very happy with, the work that you are doing, and that it's another someone who found their path, because there are so many people that are still lost, that are still searching, or have no idea that there even is more out there, that there is literally more than meets the eye.
Yeah. True story. And that's, I would love to be able to support as many of your viewers and listeners as possible. I'd love to let them know where they can find me. And then if we could take it from there, because when the student is ready, the teacher appears. If you're listening and watching this podcast, you're here for a reason. It's not an accident. It may be that your higher self, your subconscious, the larger aspect of yourself, is giving you this opportunity to pay attention, because the opportunity for growth, just like me with the blind lady, is right in front of you.
Yes. And it's not, I mean, I know there are going to be people who are going to say, oh, it's just, the algorithm that brought me here. I mean, you tune your own algorithm.
Amen.
So, you still tuned your own algorithm, whether it be like online or, your own algorithm. You tuned it to find this. You tuned it to be here. I mean, everything does happen for a reason. And yes, that's unfortunately also the nasty stuff. I mean, your story is a, great example of that.
Yeah.
Childhood could be better, let's say that. But now you found your purpose. You managed to heal yourself of something that, I mean, modern medicine really says that, it's like, well, this is the end. Enjoy while it lasts, because it's not going to be long. And like, you came better out of it than you went into it. And that is quite something, losing 88 pounds and gaining how much muscle?
About 15 pounds of muscle.
Like, how?
So it's over 100 pounds of fat loss total.
Sheesh, man, that is that
In
like,
5 months. Yeah, 5 months.
And in a healthy way as well. Like, you don't look like you went on, like a crash diet or something.
No, it's very strong ketogenic diet, specifically for starving cancer. So it's not the typical keto, but keto or carnivore, absolutely amazing for the human body, whose bodies can tolerate it. With my blood type, I tolerate eating a Tyrannosaurus Rex diet very well. Other people may not if they have a different blood type or they have different things in their body. However, for me, it works fantastic. And I also use the body code muscle testing to help people determine what their body is saying they need the most in their diet and in their supplementation. Quantities, the quality of brands, things like that. We can actually determine what your body needs based upon what your body gives the feedback in the collective consciousness in the quantum field. It's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. I mean, especially in the US, where, I mean, I've seen the ingredients lists on a certain, I mean, it's one of the first things that my wife and I compare just for fun. Like, I like my peanut butter because it's one of the OG superfoods, really.
Right.
And like, I took the ingredient list, and it's peanuts, sunflower oil, and a bit of salt. And my wife was like, and? No, that's it. Yeah. And then she started like naming the ingredients of the peanut butter that she has at home. And it's like, it's a freaking laundry list. And I'm like, yeah, no wonder you're all overweight and sick and on every type of medicine possible. And no wonder your mental health is like down the drain. Because if you're not feeling good if your body's not feeling right, then yeah, it's gonna have an effect on your mental health as well. So, I mean, just diet alone, like proper diet, which is also quite the task to find out. Like, also so many gurus like, oh, you should be eating like this. No, you should be eating like this. No, you should follow this kind of diet. No, you should follow this kind of diet. And they all have, their own meal plan and cookbook. And, so it's such a thing nowadays. I mean, the internet it's amazing. But the age of information is awesome. Like, you literally have the knowledge of your ancestors of 10, 15, 20,000 years of knowledge. Like, you have it at your fingertips, but also a lot of, something that you've also had since those ages, snake oil salesman. So that's what I always try to advise people. Just be careful with what you do. Be careful with who you follow. Whatever I say, whatever my guests say, don't just take it for truth. Research it for yourself. Find it out for yourself. Buy this man's book. Go to his website. Read it for yourself. Be your own judge. Really, if only God can judge you. I mean, we are, as one of my previous guests said, I love that. And I said I'm going to use it. I am going to use it. We're all gods and goddesses in training. Fucking love that. So, judge yourself. Judge judge what you think you know. Because trust me, you know nothing. And I've found that out as well. Right when I think I start to understand something, someone else comes by and just flips it all upside down. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that works as well.
And that's very true. And so I would like to, make sure that everybody out there has the opportunity to do exactly what you're talking about. Don't believe me? Come to my website. Find out. We have free resources for you as well. Whether it's the most amazing fudge that you'll ever make, that's 100% healthy for you, it'll be your new addiction for sure. Or maybe it's a brain protocol to help your brain function better, even if you've had a traumatic brain injury, or understanding about the V cells, or having the most amazing keto coffees that you can even imagine. They take any barista and it's like, well, thank you so much, but I'm going to drink mine. They are like crack cocaine in a cup that's healthy for you. It's that addictive. Yeah. Meaning it's that addictive.
I know.
So all you have to do is go to ascended.living. Ascended.living. That will take you to the Ascended Living website. And if you want to explore more about me personally, it's very easy. You just go to Aneaz, which is ANAEZ36.com. So Aneaz360.com. You'll be able to see all the different breathwork programs that I have, the different services, the different affiliate products, because I am all about how to harmonize the energy and the health of the human body. But more than that, it's also about the energy body. It's also about the mind. It's also about the heart. And I've been working for decades to bring this to you. So if you resonate with any of this stuff, ascended.living, if you have a chronic disease, okay, that's the place to learn the Ascend, or Aneaz360.com to find out about all the other superhuman things. And it's been such a pleasure and honor to be here. I will need to be popping off soon for another appointment, but Stein, loved being here with you.
It is my pleasure. Your story is, one of a kind. It's absolutely amazing. I will, of course, make sure that all the proper links are in the description box down below. And to my audience, to my lovely audience, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and do ring that notification bell. I have heard that YouTube sometimes neglects to send out the notifications, and especially this one. I mean, all of them, but this one you're gonna want to watch. You're gonna want to hear. If you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, do leave a 5-star rating. It's a small effort. Means the world to me. Speaking of algorithms, gets it pushed out there. For everything else, Greyhorn Pagans, drive the Greyhorn Pagans, Greyhorn Pagans podcast, go to our website, www.greyhornpagans.com. And for further support, please do join our Patreon at patreon.com/Greyhorn Pagans. This is a unpaid full-time job next to my paid full-time job. And I'd love for this to be my paid full-time job. Patreon definitely helps with that. So with all that said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Have a good day, evening, night, morning, whatever it may be to you. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone. This was yet another amazing episode of the Greyhorn Pagans podcast. We thank you all for watching. We thank you all for listening. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will be notified whenever we upload something new. Support us on Patreon for early access and for everything else that we do with the tribe, for everything else that we do with the podcast. Find us on www.breathwork.com. For now, we thank you, and until next time.